Modern people have more comfort, more freedom, and more choices than any generation before them. Yet anxiety, emptiness, and quiet despair are everywhere. Fulton J. Sheen warned that this was not a coincidence. He believed unhappiness was not caused by a lack of pleasure, but by a loss of meaning. According to Sheen, when life is built only around comfort, the soul slowly forgets why it exists. And when the soul forgets its purpose, no amount of ease can bring peace. Fulton J. Sheen believed that modern unhappiness begins with a quiet misunderstanding about the human person. People are taught that they are made primarily to be satisfied, entertained, and comfortable. Life becomes a project of avoiding pain rather than seeking truth. According to Sheen, this reversal is disastrous. When comfort becomes the goal, the soul is reduced to an appetite, not a mystery. Sheen often explained that happiness is not the same as pleasure. Pleasure is immediate, shallow, and dependent on external conditions. Happiness, on the other hand, is the result of alignment, when a person lives in harmony with truth, conscience, and purpose. Modern society promises happiness through pleasure, but delivers restlessness instead. The soul senses that something essential is missing, even if the mind cannot name it. He warned that one of the greatest dangers of modern life is distraction. Noise replaces silence. Entertainment replaces reflection. Busyness replaces meaning. People rarely sit alone with their thoughts because silence begins to ask uncomfortable questions. Questions about purpose, responsibility, guilt, and eternity. To avoid these questions, the modern person fills every empty moment, and in doing so avoids the very path that leads to peace. Sheen also spoke about the loss of transcendence. When God is removed from daily life, the human heart does not become neutral. It becomes fragmented. People still long for the infinite, but they try to satisfy that longing with finite things: success, relationships, pleasure, approval. These things were never meant to carry the weight of the soul. When they fail, disappointment turns into bitterness, and bitterness slowly becomes unhappiness. According to Sheen, modern people are not unhappy because they suffer too much, but because they suffer without meaning. Pain that is understood can be endured. Pain that feels pointless becomes unbearable. When suffering is no longer connected to growth, sacrifice, or love, it feels like an injustice rather than a path. This is why even small hardships today can feel overwhelming. Sheen believed that the soul rebels when it is treated as an object instead of a calling, and this rebellion does not always appear dramatic. Often it shows itself as boredom, cynicism, fatigue, and a quiet sense that life should be more than this. Fulton J. Sheen believed that modern unhappiness deepens because people are taught to silence their conscience instead of understanding it. Conscience is no longer seen as a guide toward truth, but as an obstacle to personal freedom. When guilt appears, the solution offered is not conversion, but distraction or justification. Over time, this creates an inner division. The person learns how to explain away discomfort, but not how to heal it. Sheen explained that the human soul was designed for self-gift, not self-protection. Love, sacrifice, and responsibility give life its depth. But modern culture teaches the opposite. Protect yourself, avoid discomfort, place your desires first. This creates a constant inner tension. The soul wants to give itself to something greater, while the mind is trained to seek comfort above all else. The result is frustration without clarity. He also warned that freedom misunderstood becomes another source of unhappiness. When freedom is reduced to doing whatever I want, it slowly turns against the person. Without moral direction, freedom loses meaning and becomes exhausting. Every choice carries anxiety. Every decision feels fragile. Instead of liberating the soul, limitless choice paralyzes it. Sheen observed that many people feel tired, not because life is too demanding, but because it lacks direction. Energy is scattered across countless distractions, none of which require real commitment. The soul grows weary when it is never asked to rise above itself. Comfort weakens the will, and a weakened will cannot sustain joy. Another cause of unhappiness, according to Sheen, is the fear of suffering. Modern people are trained to see suffering as useless. But when suffering is rejected entirely, people also lose the capacity for deep love, because love always carries risk. By trying to eliminate pain, The modern soul also eliminates intensity, meaning, and depth. Sheen believed this inner conflict explains why many people feel simultaneously privileged and empty. They have much, yet feel little. They are surrounded by options, yet lack direction. The soul senses that it was made for something higher, but no longer knows how to reach it. Fulton J. Sheen believed that unhappiness is not cured by adding more to life, but by restoring what was lost. The soul does not need constant stimulation. It needs orientation. It needs to know why it exists and what it is called to become. According to Sheen, peace returns when life is reordered around truth rather than comfort. He insisted that meaning always precedes happiness. When a person accepts responsibility, embraces sacrifice, and lives for something greater than the self, joy appears as a byproduct. It cannot be chased directly. The more aggressively happiness is pursued, the more it slips away. But when truth is chosen, even when it is demanding, the soul begins to settle. Sheen often said that suffering itself is not the enemy. Suffering without love is. When pain is united to purpose, it transforms the interior life. The modern world promises to eliminate suffering, but in doing so it removes one of the deepest sources of human maturity. A life without struggle becomes shallow, and shallow lives cannot sustain lasting joy. He warned that no society can make people happy by removing all limits. Limits give shape, discipline gives strength, moral structure gives freedom its direction. Without these, the soul becomes restless, constantly searching, never arriving. True freedom, Sheen taught, is not the absence of restraint, but the ability to choose the good consistently. The way back to joy, then, begins quietly, with silence, with honesty, with the courage to face questions that have been avoided. It begins when a person stops asking, "How can I be more comfortable?" and starts asking, "What is my life for?" That single shift changes everything. Sheen believed that God does not impose meaning from the outside. He reveals it from within, to those willing to listen. But listening requires stillness, humility, and openness to transformation. Without these, even truth feels heavy. With them, even sacrifice becomes light. Modern people are unhappy not because joy is impossible, but because they have been taught to look for it in the wrong places. The soul remembers what the world forgets, that it was made not for comfort, but for love. And only love, demanding, sacrificial, and true, can finally satisfy it.